Only over the last week I've been corrected nicely, and in some cases insulted, by saying the bodies were not found exactly south of, or at least west of, the cemetery. In fact, this seems to be a big issue with some people. Everything from gentle reminders that I'm just simply wrong, to people saying things that I've deleted. So there's the Monon High Bridge Trail starting point next to the Freedom Bridge in the upper left-hand corner. And then there's the Monon Bridge right there, and then the stated location that's supposed to be south of the Delphi Cemetery. Okay? And this is corroborated sometimes on other maps that show a same thing. And Monon Bridge Trail over there, again, same things. Now, why are people pointing this out? Well, the bridge is mentioned, and it's closer to the area. It has to be west of, no, it has to be east of the Monon Bridge. And obviously it has to be west of the bridge trail start and the Freedom Bridge over there. If you're not aware of it, that bridge originally was a train trestle, I'm assuming. I mean, if you look at the older maps in Google Earth, you can actually see that. I guess it was. So it's all part of it. The trail basically just follows the old train tracks. Now remember, it was a train pathway. Okay? Now, trains, if you're not aware of it, don't go necessarily in straight lines. Next, I want to bring up how police officers state things. We were X number of miles or feet or yards or kilometers east, west, north, or south from a certain point. For a cop, has to do with the fact that most cops are cagers. I'm a bicyclist and a trail geek, so with me, I would use distances based on trail markers as well. You might want to look up there to see if there are trail markers. Now, I want you to look at the most obvious thing that a police officer would use to estimate a distance. It would be that road that goes past the cemetery. And it would be based on mileage, because they're not going to walk a trail and count off steps or use one of those roller things to figure out the distance. They might use trail markers, so you should look for that. And they didn't use an address. I didn't see anywhere where anybody said, it's closest to this intersection or address. All right? And again, this one says that it's south of the cemetery or west of it, but it can't be east of the cemetery or any other location. Galactic North did a video showing the outlines of Ronald Logan's property. He has 4 properties on record. This is the step I've done. I'll have a link below, but you can look them up by name. Just type it in verbatim as it says, and it shows 4 properties. This is the map that shows up, so him saying it's somewhere on his 40-acre property, it's a contiguous property. I couldn't get that information because every other website I could find would not let me even look at it, and damn well wouldn't let me archive it. I couldn't archive any of this, but you can go look for it and you can actually find it. And I found a tool that let me select the properties. So it could be any of these properties. Now we have a big problem with the quote-unquote, I'm going to call it a narrative. Here are the 4 properties. The narrative that people are pushing, that I'm absolutely wrong, and it had to be either to the west of the cemetery or south. Now we have a very, very small portion of his property, statistically speaking, that could ever possibly be south of the cemetery where the victims were found. The other thing is, I actually didn't use any of this information before because I didn't have it. I did not know about the Beacon, Carroll County thing here. I honestly didn't know about it. I'm very happy I got that information. But anyway, so if you're going to say it was anywhere, it would have to be on this parcel. So where did this information originally come from? News reports. What did the news reports say? Okay, how about I look up verbatim the first 2 or 3 weeks worth of reports, which is what I used originally a long time ago when the story came out. But I had to retrace that. A lot of the stories are dead, or they put them behind a paywall. So I'm going to use the information I was able to gather by looking up the simple words Delphi, murder, victim, location, map. The majority of them look like this, right? I mean, the body's over there, right there, that's the only property. And there's the probably property line. This person's not even sure. And the abduction is supposed to have happened south of the... Why? Because people want... I'm not kidding about this. They could have doubled back this way for whatever reason and went up on this side. Or they could have gone here and crossed it in a shallow part of the stream. This is the claim people make. Now, the logic for this is based on the fact that that bridge ends down there, so of course the idea is that they went up on the trail and had to somehow go across the river somewhere. Or they could have gone back across the bridge because they were only part way across in the first place, maximum this distance, and gone back and come back this way. I have not made a presumption one way or another. I'm going by what we were told as far as where they went. And I'm sorry, I don't know how they ended up where they did, but the presumption people are making is they have to be here because of this line here and this distance here, and that seems more logical. All right. But at least this one got the property line marked out nicely. If I found this before, I would have been able to find the information easier. So what did I use originally? I don't even know how many years ago I did this. I think, yeah, actually it was just a little over a year ago. I don't even remember when I did the first video about this. But I watched the first reports and looked at the first maps, and I always thought it was right over here where it says property line. So I'm going to reproduce what I did when I got the original reports and subsequent reports from news sources and from the police. It was here. Now this is the map that actually I used in a previous video. Here's the cemetery and here's this road. Right in line with this road on this bank here is where one of the news sources said they were. So we'll go to the next one. And that one points, if you notice it, there's the road here. It's the same damn location, only they got it approximately a little further over to the south. But it's nowhere near here where they say authorities cordoned off a wide area, set up blockades here because they're cordoning off his property for a specific reason. And this is the next news source where they talk about cordoning off all sorts of areas. And again here, the map shows the bodies much, much further to the east. So I'm not trying to play I'm right, everyone's wrong, but we don't have clear information. Don't say that it's clear as day, please. So let's start with this. The actual statements early. Kim Riley of the Indiana State Police said the bodies were found about, that means they based it on driving a car a distance of 1 mile or 1.6 kilometers, as it mathematically shows up, from the Freedom Bridge, which is this thing. So I took the most extreme end here, and the least end, I mean, if they were talking about here, it would be lined up here, okay? So there's our range there from that one statement. Now, if you take 1.6 kilometers and divide it by 2 and divide by 0, you get 800 meters. Now, the other one was about half a mile or 0.8 kilometer east of the abandoned deck girder bridge, okay? Well, that puts it over here, maximum, because that's 2,600, yada, yada, or maybe over here. So this makes a square that fits this area here only. And the last statement, the bodies were 50 feet from Deer Creek's north bank, so they would have paced that off pretty easily. Now, the other thing that would happen is, and this is important, somebody could have said, I took a GPS here, and then I went over here and measured the GPS, or they did a walk around, or they went in a straight line. If you do a straight line, it ends up being over here. So I originally assumed that the body was found within this area here. And by the way, that isn't 50 feet. That's 100 feet. I'm being as vague as possible. So the entire area that this could be in is pretty limited here. So now we're absolutely nowhere near the cemetery. We're sure as hell not west of it. We're east of it by a long distance. And more importantly, these are the first two assertions about it, and they coordinate pretty closely with this area over here. Another one that was an assertion I can't find mentioned a specific distance from the edge of the road, the edge of the highway due east. And I drew a straight line from where they were talking about, and no matter what I did, it ended up making a line that went from here up, and it crossed here. So that's 2 or 3 coordinate points I'm using with their measurement methods they used. So you end up with it being right about here is the only places that cross up. And that's it. Now, if they were talking about one side or another of the Freedom Bridge, or if it's a shorter distance because they have wiggle waggles, it pulls it even further over here, but not far enough for it to be underneath or anywhere near the cemetery. And again, it's 50 feet within the river edge, so it's along the edge, and it has to be at least half a mile from the bridge they were on and a mile away from the bridge over there they were using a reference point for when they were driving their cars and using the odometer. That's it. That's where I came from. That's where I got it from. That's it. That's all I've got. It's not really any use. I could be totally wrong, obviously, but I've had a couple of people telling me that I'm an idiot or I'm trying to distract people. The first one that was including a map as far as a news source using a pinpoint on a map rather than a big dumb circle was February 15th, 2017, where the 2 bodies of the girls were found near Delphi by Matt McKinney of a particular news source. And then, of course, the quotes I've already read back to you. See also a video by Galactic North about Ronald E. Logan's properties, the 4 parcels, confirming that that actually is a correct map for the parcels. Again, this is what I used to try to figure it out, and I've tried to reproduce what I did before. It still ends up with the same very, very vague answer, but the 50-foot mark, however, but anyway, to review, 50 feet north of the river along this line, so it can't be up near there. It has to be along the river edge. Next, half a mile away from the bridge they were on, okay, that's over here to over here, and a mile away from the other bridge. That's here, back. So this is the entire square here. None of that is near where anybody else is saying. I thank all of you for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. That's how I came to the conclusion I did. And if I'm wrong, that's fine, but I'd really like it if somebody would explain why. And to the few people that are saying, hey, dude, you're way off. You need to back off. Not really useful. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that.